Moments ago, thousands of pages of documents related to the George Washington Bridge Lane closures were released. The papers include ones submitted by Chris Christie's Port Authority appointee, David Wildstein. He's since resigned the post and invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate himself Thursday during a State Assembly committee hearing. There's now a class action lawsuit in the works filed by Jersey residents who were stuck in the traffic jams and claimed they were late to work and lost pay. As for Governor Christie himself, he doesn't have any public events today after his nearly 2-hour-long press conference yesterday where he denied any knowledge of the planning or execution of the closures, followed by an in-person apology to the mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey. We start with MSNBC's Craig Melvin outside the New Jersey State House in Trenton. Craig, what's the latest?
All right, so here's the thing right now, Teray, as you indicated, those pages have just come out. We were expecting about 900. Turns out it's roughly 2,040 pages have just been released by the Assembly. So we are literally trying to go page by page here. We've got a number of people sifting through the sections. This is, again, right now, all I can tell you based on what I've seen is, among the other things in that report, there's a formalized review of the traffic study, and that review of the traffic study, conclusions in that review are marked TBD. I can also tell you that according to pages 34 35 of Exhibit B, the report itself is broken down into several sections, 6 or 7 sections. The executive director of the Port Authority, at one point, according to this report, orders the lanes back open and says he thinks, quote, this hasty and ill-advised decision, refers to it as a hasty and ill-advised decision. And he also says, again, this is coming from the executive director of the Port Authority, he says that he thinks that it violates the law. He then asks how they can get the word out that everything is open again, and then at one point, according to the report, someone else says there can be no public discourse. So what we're doing right now, again, is we're trying to go section by section, and if it's okay with you guys, Teray, I'd like to continue to go through the report, maybe come back here in a few minutes and give you some additional information, some nuggets from this report as we try to sift through it.
I think Craig Melvin just booked himself on the show into the future, but we've had that behavior from Craig before, so we'll take it back now to the table. Since Crystal's in Washington and Craig is on reading duty, is the one and only Steve Kornacki, alum of the show, host of, what's the name of your show again?
I can't remember.
Me neither.
Weekend morning.
Look, it seems that either Chris Christie was duped by some of his closest people, or he is lying to us, and or he's insufficiently curious about something fairly major going on in his state, which did not break at the time that he said it broke in his life. And it also seems that perhaps he has fostered a culture of bullying within the state of New Jersey that you've talked about before. Where do you think the truth lies in all this?
Yeah, no, again, my suspicion, and listen, we have a lot of new emails out right now, and I think in terms of with all the subpoenas that will be coming out, whether it's from the State Legislative Committee, potentially from the U.S. Attorney, who knows what the U.S. Senate Committee is going to be doing, we'll be getting a lot more emails, we'll be getting a lot more answers. But my suspicion right now is that willful ignorance is the explanation for what Chris Christie has sort of put forward on this. The idea that, look, he's a reasonably intelligent guy. He is a former federal prosecutor. You have all of this, all of these questions. Well, because you have all of these questions that are being raised by the press. You have all of this sort of controversy swirling in the political arena, and he doesn't ask, as you say, he does not ask any questions in October, November, December. But there was also a reason for that, and the reason was that, as I've said before, the subpoena authority for the State Legislative Committee that's looked into this, the reason you have all these emails out right now is because of that subpoena authority that was due to expire next Tuesday. And the thing to always understand about New Jersey politics, you think of Democrats, you think of Republicans. Christie's the Republican, the Democrats are against him. That is not the way to understand New Jersey politics. The key to understanding New Jersey politics is that Chris Christie has had an alliance with a group of powerful Democratic leaders in the state whose agents in the state legislature will vote with Chris Christie and will help Chris Christie. Next Tuesday, the new incoming Speaker of the State Assembly is a product of those alliances. And there was every expectation in the political world of New Jersey that that new Speaker was going to take that subpoena authority away.
Yeah, I like Steve, I like what he says, but it's like he's his own puppeteer.
Scenario.
He's like the Eminem of MSNBC, the hand.
No bombshells come out between then and next Tuesday. The subpoena power goes away, the investigation goes away, and this always just becomes this thing that a few people were suspicious about, and yeah, we never really figured out why those guys left, and that's the end of it.
So he tried to run out the clock, Crystal, and and he was unable to do so.
Yeah, Steve, I got to ask you, and be honest here, you're going to read all 2,040 pages of this document, aren't you? Not even a question.
Yeah, there's 10,000 more that'll follow.
The Onion, the satirical newspaper, The Onion, I think hit the nail on the head with their fake statement from Chris Christie where he says, "My fellow Americans, look at me. Do I look like a corrupt, vengeful bully?" And, I mean, it really cuts to the heart of the problem here for Christie, which is that even if people aren't sure if he was the one really behind the bridge closure, it feels eminently possible that he could be this petty and this vindictive because of his image as a bully.
Yeah, and it feels that way among Republicans, too. That was the biggest revelation for me in talking to Republicans this week. I talked to a Republican in New Jersey and just asked the question, why aren't you guys rallying around Chris Christie? And the Republicans said, well, we're not sure what to do. Because on the one hand, we're shocked that somebody as politically talented and astute as Chris Christie would end up in a situation like this. On the other hand, it is the MO of this administration to get involved in hyper-local, and this is Republicans, this is Democrats. You talk to people at the municipal level, small municipalities, 6,000 people. You talk to people at that level in New Jersey politics, and they will do something or they will say something. We're not talking about, like, I want to impeach the governor level stuff. We're talking about petty local municipal politics. They will hear from the front office. They will hear from somebody connected to Chris Christie. They will hear from Chris Christie himself. And you talk to people with a history in New Jersey politics, John Corzine, Tom Kean, Christie Whitman, you think of the former governors of the state, there is no modern precedent for that kind of hyper-local involvement. So a lot of even Republicans in New Jersey look at this and they say,
"Oh, that don't sound good, ultimately."
No, but it's certainly plausible to me that this is the kind of thing that his culture is going to produce.